This is a Seeburg clutch. It's used in almost every Seeburg machine from about 1950 to the end of them. And it's used to control the action of the various parts of the mechanism. It consists of basically a worm gear, a clutch yoke, and a lower gear. What it does in operation is the player in a jukebox has got two stable states. One is playing, the other one is scanning. The clutch controls all of this. There are three positions in the clutch. The bottommost position, where we're engaged with the lower gear, like this. Come on. When I've got it engaged in the lower gear, I'm in scan mode, and this will move along the rack based on the rotation. The second one is the play, where it sits in the middle and nothing turns. And what it's doing now is you're basically just spinning the record, waiting for the end of the record to occur, and at that time we'll drop back into the scan state. But you got to do some housekeeping. So between the scan state and the play state, we come in and we engage the worm gear. And the worm gear basically does the housekeeping. This will load the record, unload the record, and all of these actions. And on the front of the machine, there's a clutch trip lever that will cause it to go from one state to the other. So I'll do a quick demo on an actual machine. This is a Seeburg machine right now. It's just found a record and it's moved from the play scan position to the play position. Now when I trip this will activate the clutch. It will return the record and then go immediately. It should go immediately into a scan state, and there you go. And then if I should trip this lever again, it will load the record. Now there's a lot of things going on here. For example, when you trip this, what we'll see is, first of all, the record, the tone arm returns, then the record clamp releases, then the record's put back in the magazine, and there's a few other housekeeping things that are done. So here we go. There's actually a cam buried inside of here, which you'll see turn, and there you go. And you can see the housekeeping take place. So here we reverse on the back, on the load side. Here now I'm going to hit it. It's going to unload the record, move the tone arm out of the place, and drop into the scan. Now if I click it again, it's going to go do the reverse, load the record, put the needle down, and sit there until I'm done. So that's the purpose of the clutch. And so there are really three positions in the clutch: scan, play, and transfer. And this is all controlled by this arm, which is tied back up into the mechanism. There's really several problems that occur with a clutch. The most common one is how it works is when it's running, it goes into the transfer position. It's in the transfer position, turning the worm drive, the worm gear, and then it has to drop just ever little bit here to get in the play position. And that can only happen if the yoke is free to turn relative to this pin. And probably the most common clutch problem is binding up on this pin. This 1/4-inch pin tends to get bound up in the yoke as well as here. And the symptom you see there is this arm drops, but the pin doesn't and the yoke doesn't. So it immediately turns right around and loads the record back up again. So that's the dead giveaway. Load the record, unload the record. And if that's the case, your problem is probably the clutch. So the clutch service primarily is remove this pin, remove this clip, push the pin through, clean the yoke, clean the pieces, and the key to it all is you should be able to hold the yoke and wiggle this pin. That's how you know it's done. Here's another one here. Okay. Now there's several types of clutches. I just point this out because there's one for all machines, which looks like this. And then there's one used for LPC type machines, which can be distinguished by this little, move this around a little bit. Bear with me. This little spring device that you see in the clutch here, and that's actually in there to prevent it from going into scan in one direction. The LPCs are unusual in that they only pick records going right to left. The other ones pick them in either direction. So that's how they keep it from going into scan the wrong way. So that's the clutch. Now the fun, where the hell is it? Well, looking at a machine, there is the clutch right in the back. So how you get access to it is you typically put the machine, you use your scan switch and you cause it to transit to the far left so you can get access to the clutch. And there it is, a nice cleaned up clutch. How to remove it, and I'm going to do that on this nice clean one over here, is basically remove the 4 screws. There are 4 screws, 2 up top, 2 down below. Remove this. You may have, this is the more complicated because this uses a Tormat, and if you have a Tormat, you're going to have this little switch in here. You won't have it without a Tormat because that actually controls the readout pulse into the memory. But you basically remove the 4 screws, wiggle it around enough that there's actually a C-clip in here holding this arm in place. It goes through this hole. You've got to pop that out. Once that's popped out, you can then kind of wiggle it around